Welcome everybody to my winter weather outlook for 2011-2012. Today's October 17th, 2011, and I appreciate everybody tuning in this evening. Alright, just want to do a couple of quick acknowledgments. I am a forum admin of absolutevorticity.com. It's a weather forum. Check it out. It is free to sign up. I'm also a member of the neoweather.com forum, and these folks are great forecasters for Northeast Ohio. And you can sign up for their forum also, and it is also free. And of course, I post daily weather updates on Facebook, so you can also follow me there as well. Alright, these are some things that went into the forecast this year. I'm going to review the pattern that we've seen for fall of 2011. We are in a second year La Nina. Remember, we had a strong La Nina last winter, and we're going to do it again this winter. The teleconnection indices, we're going to check those out, the PDO, PNA, NAO, that sort of thing, and how that is going to affect our pattern. Soil moisture, we're going to look at a couple of maps there, because areas that are been extremely dry, you probably are going to find a ridge there, a la Texas this summer, as an example. And snow and ice cover, you must have above average snow and ice, in my honest opinion, in the cold air source regions like Siberia, Alaska, northern Canada. This is the time of year when you want to see that stuff building, and it is. I think you're going to like that. Alright, here's the fall pattern this year. Remember September, it was dominated with about 3 of those cutoff lows, the closed lows, where those storm systems were pretty much stalling over the Ohio Valley, and we got a bunch of rain because of it. We had over 7 inches at the airport, CVG. Dayton broke a monthly rainfall record for September, the most ever for September as a matter of fact, with over 10 inches of rain. So we had a really wet September. We've pretty much seen a ridge out west, a trough over the east. There's your plus PNA. Minus the couple of weeks of nice weather we had in October where we had a negative PNA, where the trough was over the west, and we had a ridge for a couple of weeks there. But we are going back to the ridge over the west, trough over the east. We already have, as a matter of fact. And October is turning wet again. And look at this, the 12ZGFS for Thursday of this week. There's one of those closed upper level lows again over the Ohio Valley. Deja vu, isn't it? We saw that in September. Here comes another one. There's your plus PNA with the ridge over the west. Look at the European, same deal. There's your closed low. A little bit different position, mind you, with the European, with the upper level low centered over Detroit. But I mean, it's a similar story. That's why I wanted to show you these maps for the storm system that we're going to get tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. Just wanted to show you that. All right, here's the current sea surface temperature anomalies. 2 things that are going to stick out like a sore thumb. Negative PDO, look at that. And here's your La Nina down here in the equatorial Pacific. Another thing that I want to look at is above average waters in the Gulf of Mexico, above average along the east coast. If this continues, we're going to have some big storm systems this winter that can tap into a lot of that energy and a lot of that moisture. With those above average sea surface temperatures. This is extremely interesting. And one more thing, look at the Great Lakes here, well above average for the Great Lakes. You lake effect snow lovers, get ready. Come mid to late November on into December, the lake effect snow machines are going to be firing. Mark my words. Great news for you lake effect snow lovers. Excellent news to see the Great Lakes above average here in mid-October. Wonderful news there. Alright, moving along. Here is the equatorial temperature anomaly. This is in the La Nina region that I just talked about. You can see in the central and eastern parts, colder than average sea surface temperatures here. Down pretty good. I mean, this is down to 200 meters or so. So we have a lot of cold water that's building, and it's strengthening the La Nina. This time lapse begins August 11th and ends October 10th. Watch it. Look at it strengthening as we head through September. Still getting colder as we get into mid-October. And the western part is above average as you head closer to the western Pacific. And it's pretty much holding its own. So we have a central or east-based pretty much La Nina right now. And this is wonderful news if this holds. That does favor more snow and colder weather for the east due to the configuration of the sea surface temperatures here in the equatorial Pacific. Wonderful news here for us. So let's see if that holds. It's going to be fun to watch. All right, and here's what the models are saying in regards to the strength to the La Nina this winter. We're currently about 0.6, 0.7, somewhere in there. This is where we stand right now. And the CFS shows it tanking. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's going to show it about 2.8 degrees below average here as we get into mid-January, early February time frame. This is ridiculous. I think it's overdoing it here, but I tell you what, each run that I've watched this model over the last month, it has gotten colder with the La Nina, stronger with the La Nina every time. I don't know if I should take this as a red flag and change my forecast, or is it just out to lunch? It's too hard to predict that, honestly, with any skill. We're just going to have to watch and see what happens. But and another thing, too, that I think could be wrong is that since 1950, in any of our lifetimes for the most part, we have never seen a second-year La Nina be stronger than its predecessor. We did have a strong La Nina last winter. The CFS is saying it's going to be stronger than last year, and we've never seen that before. So this is going to be interesting to see what exactly happens with this. The European model is saying we're probably going to get to moderate strength, and I agree with the European because that's pretty much right in the middle, because the IRI forecast models, the dynamical and statistical models, is showing a weak La Nina pretty much hanging, and then as we get into the core of winter, it actually weakens. I think this is wrong. I think the La Nina is going to continue to strengthen into moderate status, and I don't think it's going to start weakening till maybe March or April is what I think. Probably more in here instead of, in here in winter. So I think this is wrong. So you take the European, the CFS is saying mega strong, IRI is saying weak. I like the European, which is right in the middle, moderate. So I'm going with that for the basis of my forecast. Here's the teleconnection indices for September. Well, the PDO is only for August because September hasn't updated on the website yet. But for August, we had minus 1.76. August of last year was minus 1.27. So we're definitely colder in the waters of the Pacific, in the northern parts of the Pacific anyway. And you saw that with that SST anomaly map a couple slides back where we had that really pocket of cold water in the Gulf of Alaska there. Classic negative PDO signature there. So this is interesting. We're colder now than we were last year. NAO, I love this. This is wonderful. We are weekly positive for September. First time it's been positive actually since April. We had a very negative NAO in the summertime. And that can correlate to a negative PDO in the winter, or negative NAO in the winter as well. But the reason why I like it being positive right now during the fall is because that allows more cold and snow and ice cover and all that sort of thing to build up in Arctic Canada. Because if we had a lot of blocking right now and a lot of negative NAO going on right now, you typically are going to see higher than average, heights in the atmosphere. So you're going to see like a lot of ridging over Greenland in parts of the Arctic regions of Canada. And that's not going to let the snow cover build up rapidly if that was going on. So we want to see it positive for September and October. And I think that's going to be the case. This is great news for us. The PNA was extremely positive for September, 1.77. That's why we had the monster ridge out west, the big trough in the east, and that's why it was so wet. And it's been positive for the last 3 months. Now, QBO, this is very, 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 very interesting. And I'll tell you why. At the 30 millibar level, we're starting to get into negative territory now. Great news, and it continues to drop. Negative QBO, if you recall, does favor blocking and stratospheric warming events up above the North Pole, there in the stratosphere and above the Arctic. And we like that because that allows the polar vortex to develop in Canada, and that can send bouts of Arctic air masses south into the lower 48. That all helps with that. But at the 50 millibar level, it's still positive. And this is a unique situation. It's weakly positive, but it's not quite negative yet. So I think with the QBO being weakly negative, if that holds for the winter, I don't think the blocking is going to be as strong as we saw the last two winters, which favored the East Coast. I think the storm track is going to favor more of the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Ohio Valley. So this is wonderful news yet again. Here's the soil moisture anomaly maps here for September. No surprise with Texas. We all know about the drought and the wildfires and all that. We know about the big ridge that we had during the summer there. That continues. They need help desperately, but I don't think they're going to get much, unfortunately. And we could have a weak southeast ridge this winter because we need some help in Florida and Georgia especially. Carolina's much improved. Eric, the good news for you, sir. And look at the Northeast. They've been getting a ton of rain. We all know that with Irene that moved up the coast earlier. A lot of these storm systems have been closing off in the Ohio Valley, and a lot of moisture out ahead of these upper level lows that have been stalling over the Ohio Valley has been going up the East Coast. That's why they've been so wet. California has been doing well in September finally, and the Northern Plains also has had some decent rainfall. Here's where we stand for October 16th. A little more moisture in the west because remember the first 2 weeks of the month they had the trough there. We had the ridge here. Texas, no surprise. Southeast, especially Georgia, no surprise. Florida's improved. Northeast still wet, no surprise. And we have had a little bit here in the Ohio Valley because we're just starting to get back into a wetter pattern again. And here's the snow and ice cover maps. Siberia looks great. Almost all of it's covered now for mid-October. This is great news. Ice starting to develop here along the Siberian coast. It's growing in the Arctic Ocean now. The northern half of Alaska has snow cover now. And the northern parts of Arctic Canada also has snow cover right now. Where do we stand anomaly-wise this time of year? Blue means you're above average for this time of year in snow cover. Red means you are below average. Southern parts of Siberia could still use some help, but they will get it. Alaska is a little bit below average in spots. They'll get help. Arctic Canada could use help in spots. They'll get help coming up. Don't worry about this map. This will change rapidly. Check this in a month. You're going to see a lot more blue on here. I guarantee it. Alright, here's my maps map section. Just a brief note, I am not an artist, so I kind of blended the regions together. I'm expecting near average temperatures for the Pacific Northwest, well above average because of the ridging over the Southwest and Texas and parts of the Southern Plains. Weak southeast ridge would give you slightly above average temperatures for the Southeast. You will get some bouts of cold and snow southeast, but I think overall through December, January, February, you're going to be slightly above average. Expecting below average for us here at home in the Ohio Valley, a good chunk of the Midwest and Northeast, and well below average rather for the Great Lakes and Northern Plains. I think the coldest temperature anomalies this winter will be to the north. Precipitation-wise, that's why I went near average for the Northern Plains, because I think the primary storm track is going to be to your south. That's why the Ohio Valley well above average, and Midwest, even parts of the Great Lakes. I think southern half of Michigan we can include in that. I think above average as well for New England for precipitation. Below average due to the weak southeast ridge in the southeast, but slightly below, not too horrible. The driest portions of the country, again, because of the ridging, southwest, and Texas. My snowfall map, due to the storm track being south of the Northern Plains because of the coldest air being up there, that's why I'm going with well above average snowfall for the Ohio Valley. Parts of the Great Lakes I think I can include in this too. Parts of the plains here, St. Louis, Chicago, Indianapolis, Dayton, Columbus, Kentucky, I think Tennessee Valley, you should get some decent snowfalls. Above average for the Northeast. Inland areas, I think probably near average for the coast. Below average for the Southeast, again, due to the reasons I mentioned. Texas and Southwest, well below average because of regions already mentioned. And due to the storm track, storms coming into the Pacific Northwest, above average snowfall for the mountains like the Cascades. Monthly breakdown, I'm going to let you read over that briefly because I am running out of time. I can only do a 15-minute video on YouTube and I only have a few seconds left. Expecting 2 to 4 inches of snowfall for the airport. December, I'm going with a big snow and cold month here. Should be great, 10 to 14 inches. January will start off cold and then have a thaw. Toward the end of the month, we do have our best chance at a blizzard or 10-inch plus storm, a big monster storm.